What's up, everybody? We have another episode in the Kouri Richins saga, and it centers around a wrongful death lawsuit filed by her husband's estate. We have seen a lot of what's in this 48-page complaint before, but there are some new pieces, additional context that we get. The big part about it that's interesting to me is they are now going after the proceeds of the children's book she wrote to help her children cope with her husband's death. There's a wrongful death claim in there as well, which is always interesting to me. That's what we do as part of our practice, is file these wrongful death lawsuits, these catastrophic injury lawsuits, and ask for damage amounts similar to what they ask for here. So I'm going to explain what they're asking for money-wise, because I've seen that kind of misreported or misunderstood kind of in other areas. And then we also get a more exhaustive list of quotes of things that Kouri Richins searched after her husband's death. And then after we go through parts of the complaint, I'm not going to read the entire 48 pages. I'm going to kind of summarize, explain what's going on in it. We'll read a couple pages, like I said, to get those quotes and get the portions that deal with the children's book. And then I want to wrap in kind of, instead of reading the complaint, listening to the executor of the estate, the personal representative of the estate, Kouri Richins' husband's sister, Katie. She testified at the bond hearing a couple weeks ago. And I felt like now was a good time to listen to her statement so we can see what she thinks and how she feels about Kouri Richins and what they believe they can prove as part of this wrongful death civil lawsuit. So if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the reminder bell as well so you don't miss any videos and you don't miss an opportunity to get in the conversation with the comments to get your questions answered about this Kouri Richins situation. And hit that like button if you guys do enjoy this content. So why file a wrongful death lawsuit when there's already criminal charges pending? A few reasons for that. Number one, you get to have your day in court and you get to control what happens in your narrative. Many times, prosecuting offices do want to help the families and help the victims, but they make it very clear in certain circumstances that they do not represent the victims. So this has an opportunity for the victims to have a lawyer that speaks for them and does discovery for them and gets answers for them that prosecutors may feel is irrelevant to a criminal case, but may be very relevant in discovery of a civil case. We've seen it in the Petito situation and many other situations where this is a way to get answers. Additionally, they are trying to collect the proceeds and stop that book from being sold. That's a big deal. That's something that the civil justice system may be better suited for than the criminal justice system. Additionally, they are trying to establish that Kouri Richins and her realty company are one and the same. They've commingled funds. She's committed fraudulent acts and criminal acts under the guise of her realtor business, buying houses using Eric Richins, his name, his connections, his potentially line of credit, things like that. So those are all things that are coming into this complaint as well. They are trying to attach any assets or money she may have as Kouri Richins Realty, Kouri Richins personally, or from the book proceeds. And that's how we get to the damage amount number we'll talk about at the end. Some of the claims that are in this, obviously the wrongful death surrounding the poisoning of Eric Richins. Knowingly and intentionally doing that are the allegations in the complaint. A couple retirement accounts to the tune of $55,000, stolen tax payments, life insurance fraud, $200,000+ in cash, another $100,000 plus in furniture, electronics and vehicles, which she fraudulently used his name and likeness and lied to the DMV potentially about how much his estate was worth and that it was a gift to her. So a lot of specifics into the allegations and into the evil that they claim she committed surrounding all of this. Again, a lot of this can give context as well to the criminal case. And it can be gathered from the evidence that the state attorney's office has, but it can also be additional that Kouri Richins has done this or that, which can give context and motive and continue to help prove that criminal case. And some of that does go into the quotes that we spoke about and that were mentioned. And some of the quotes were read at some of the hearings we've already heard and seen. but I thought it'd be worth it for us to discuss those quotes again here since we have a more exhaustive list. And let me zoom in here so it's a little easier to see. Can you delete everything on an iCloud account? Can deleted text messages be retrieved from an iPhone? Can cops uncover deleted messages? iPhone. How to unlock my iCloud. How to permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely. Can cops force you to do a lie detector test? What are you allowed inside Utah jails? These things are obviously very damning for somebody that allegedly just committed a crime and is trying to figure out how to either cover it up or what she's looking at if she gets caught. Will life insurance pay if death certificate says pending? Luxury prisons for the rich in America. If someone is poisoned, what does it go down on the death certificate as? FBI analysis of electronics in an investigation. Is Find My iPhone ever wrong? Can FBI find deleted messages? And these quotes were written after paragraph 151, which says, subsequent to Eric's death, Kouri made numerous incriminating searches on her phone or other electronic devices, including but not limited to. So this is after his death. All right. So those are obviously, I mean, if you have stuff like that, it's just so difficult to overcome. It shows motive. It shows that you're on notice. It shows that you know what happened. It shows that you know it's going to come out as a lethal dose of fentanyl. It shows that some text messages are going to be damning. It shows that you're looking at Utah prisons. I mean, none of this looks good, obviously, in a criminal case or in a civil wrongful death case. It is a much lower burden as well in civil court. Preponderance of the evidence, more likely than not, 51%. All much lower standards than beyond a reasonable doubt. So that is something that makes the civil justice system a lower bar when proving a wrongful death case like this. So one of the really interesting parts about this, obviously, that we mentioned off the top is the fact that they're going after the book proceeds. They have specific factual allegations regarding that, and then also specific causes of action dealing with using somebody's identity, personal, their likeness, and profiting off of that. So it's like this whole scheme and concoction of stealing money from him, which they have allegations of, taking his money, post-death, drilling into safes, lying, life insurance fraud, lying about tax information. So all of that they have as motive beforehand. And then the plan to set up to do the lethal doses of fentanyl. And then after his death, to use that even to profit even more, which all just kind of goes into her common motive and scheme as to why and how she did what she did. So this is kind of like a dream scenario case that you're building against someone that absolutely seems to have done this based on all the evidence at this point. Now, we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to see what actually comes out in court, what's actually admissible. Can they prove it to a jury if we get there? If she pleads guilty, obviously that makes this case a lot easier. It's over at that point. Hook, line, and sinker, wrongful death. Now, some of the other stuff they may still have to prove. And that can include some of these causes of action. So let's jump down now to when they start to discuss her using his name, image, and likeness. We hear about the NIL in, college football, but she's using it here to profit. Almost 1 year to the day after Eric's death, Kouri wrote, published, and began selling a book entitled Are You With Me? We know, we saw it all over the news. She was making the rounds, going around the circuit, talking about this book. The unlawful book purports to provide heartwarming and reassuring guidance for children on how to deal with a death of a loved one, namely by referencing events and details from Eric's life and his relationship with his children. Without obtaining Katie's consent, Katie is the now personal representative of Eric's estate, Kouri included Eric's name, image, identity, and likeness in the unlawful book, is what they're calling it at this point. Eric's name, image, identity, and likeness have intrinsic value, especially as they pertain to the unlawful book, because the unlawful book purports to offer advice on how to grieve the death of a husband and father. The unlawful book inappropriately and incorrectly expresses or implies that Eric and or Katie, as the personal representative of Eric's estate, approves, would approve, endorses, or would endorse the unlawful book subject matter. So here's one side note to think, like, if this wasn't a case like this, where these accusations have been made against Kouri Richins, they probably wouldn't care. They probably would want what's best for their brother's widow and his children. They would want them to make as much money and be taken care of because of this book. They would have no problem with it. The reason this is all exploding, obviously, is because of what has ensued and the facts that they have uncovered, allegedly. Since publishing the unlawful book, Kouri has advertised and marketed the unlawful book through several different mediums and marketplaces, including, without limitation, Amazon.com and bookshop.org. Further, in April of 2023, Kouri appeared on Good Things Utah, a local television program on ABC4, to promote the unlawful book. Upon information and belief, Kouri used Eric's identity in her advertising, marketing, and promotion of the unlawful book. Upon information and belief, Kouri has profited off Eric's name, image, and likeness by selling copies of the unlawful book. Kouri has not shared or provided any portion of the unlawful book's sale proceeds with the estate. Upon information and belief, Kouri has solely retained all revenue derived from the unlawful book. So what's also sad about this is his estate would be his kids. His kids are going to collect from his estate. So instead, she's keeping all of it personally, at least is what these allegations are. Now, of course, I've seen allegations the other way, like, oh, the aunt or the family's trying to take all the money, not give it to the wife, not give it to the kids. So it's not to say that these disputes have not been real in the past. But this, again, I think just goes to motive and proving who Kouri Richins is, how she acts, what she's doing. That's what they're trying to prove with these allegations. And then we're going to jump down. So we go through a bunch of causes of action: conversion, which is basically stealing, theft, fraud, misappropriation, all sorts of issues here that they're claiming: breach of contract, wrongful liens, wrongful death. Okay, here we go. Invasion of privacy, misappropriation of name and likeness. Katie hereby incorporates by reference the allegations set forth above as if fully set forth herein. Without authorization, Kouri included Eric's name and likeness in the unlawful book. Eric's name and likeness have intrinsic value, especially as they pertain to the unlawful book. Kouri misappropriated Eric's name and likeness for her own use and benefit. All of these are just hitting the causes, the elements of this cause of action. Upon information and belief, Kouri has marketed and sold copies of the unlawful book throughout the United States. Upon information and belief, Kouri has solely retained all revenue generated from the sales of the unlawful book. Because of Kouri's misappropriation, and Katie is entitled to a judgment in an amount to be determined at trial, but in no event less than the amount of all revenue generated from sales from the unlawful book. They're coming for all of it, not just part of it. Katie is further entitled to permanent injunction forever barring Kouri from disseminating, selling, or reproducing the unlawful book. And I think we have an understanding about this. Anybody that's a sports fan and knows, the NCAA games and any of the books and things that they were profiting off of the kids in college and their likeness and their name and the lawsuits that were filed and what has ensued, and now college players getting paid. So we know the context, and this is very similar. She's using somebody else's name, image, and likeness that is specific to this book. This is the reason the book is getting sold, because of him. And they want the proceeds of that. His estate stands in his shoes. So it's just like paying the person, the college athlete. That would be the same thing here. It's not like paying his sister. She stands in his shoes. Abuse of personal identity, another cause of action. Through several different forms of media, including but not limited to Amazon.com, Good Things Utah, and ABC4, Kouri advertised, marketed, and promoted the unlawful book. In so doing, Kouri incorrectly and inappropriately used Eric's identity in a manner that expressed or implied, and he and or Katie approved, would approve, endorsed, or would endorse the unlawful book. Kouri used Eric's identity in her advertising, marketing, and promotions without first obtaining Katie's prior consent. Kouri has consequently abused Eric's personal identity. As a proximate cause of Kouri's abuse, Katie, as personal representative, has been harmed in an amount to be determined at trial. Pursuant to Utah Code Section 45(3) and 4, Katie is entitled to a judgment against Kouri for consequential damages, exemplary damages, and reasonable attorney's fees and costs. Katie is further entitled under Section 45, 3 and 4 to an injunction precluding Kouri from further using Eric's identity in any advertising, marketing, or promotions associated with the unlawful book or anything else, really. So, specifically connecting it to the book, other ways they're trying to attach any assets she may have for as a realtor, which again, it seems like she has more debt than assets. There may be nothing to collect. This may be all part of principal or part of an information gathering deal for the family, but they're trying to collect everything that may even be out there from the book or the realty proceeds or her personally, and anything she may have stolen from Eric and taken personally. So all of this, they're asking for economic damages, literally specific things she stole, economics, money, vehicles, life insurance policies. They're asking for attorney's fees and costs, as we saw there, multiple causes of action that they have claimed have statutory attorney's fees and costs, exemplary damages or punitive damages to punish, to say people cannot do things like this. Let's make an example out of Kouri Richins. And then also non-economic damages. Incredibly sad. What this, a toll this is taken on the family, on the kids. By the way, those economic damages and wrongful death claims can also go into the future of what Eric would have earned to support his kids that she has taken, Kouri Richins has taken, allegedly as part of this complaint. And those damages, I've seen them reported as $13 million or hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. It is not less than $13 million. They can go ask for $100 million if they feel they can prove it, which in my opinion, when you start adding in non-economic damages and the toll this takes on kids having to go through this and learn if it's proven one day that their mother did this to their father, there's really no number high enough that I would be like, that's too high for what's going on here. You can let me know in the comments if you disagree, of course. And to get a little window into how Eric Richins' family and sister and estate feel about Kouri Richins, about what she's done, whether or not they believe she did this, whether or not they believe they know why she did this, we are going to listen to the statement given by Katie, Eric's sister, on behalf of the family in order to help detain Kouri with no bail, which was the decision of the court, which you can go, we'll link that video to the prior video that I did here about the hearing and the decision for the judge to hold her without bail. And she's staying there because she is a danger and because the court feels there is enough evidence of such a heinous crime and that she could be a danger to other people in the community. And she basically has nothing to lose at this point. And that was partially based on this statement, but I felt like the context of it would be great now that we know that they have filed this wrongful death civil lawsuit and she is the personal representative of the estate, and we get to hear from her, which is better than reading it on a piece of paper or summarizing it myself. So let's listen to what she said and how it can kind of contextually add to this lawsuit.
Go ahead.
Dear Judge Mrazek, I'm here today to represent my brother, Eric Eugene Richins. His life was taken in a senseless act of poisoning on March 3rd, 2022. His wife, the defendant, has been accused of committing this crime. If she is found guilty, she has committed the ultimate act of betrayal. Eric is gone, and I am brokenhearted. He was my best friend and protector. The feeling of loss is so great it is visceral. And with the sorrow comes a wave of panic at not being able to see him again. I can never talk to him, never hug him again, and never more be a part of his life. Eric's world revolved around his family, his love for hunting, the family cattle ranch, and his intense drive as a successful entrepreneur.
Just that off the bat is talking about non-economic damages, how it's affected them and his family, right? And that's contextually, again, now that we have the civil lawsuit, we see it. His background, what he was about, what kind of a guy he was, all adds to the value of his life, as sad as it is, as horrible as it is. The civil justice system, the only thing you can really do is give money. You can't bring somebody back. You can give injunctions, stop her from selling the book and using his name, image, and likeness as well. The criminal court is where she'll be punished personally with her life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. On the civil side, it's just money. So this background stuff adds value when you talk about a person's life and what he was about and what he loved and what he left behind and the hole that's going to be left in their life forever.
Being born into the Richins legacy shaped Eric's formative years and resulted in a lifetime of hard work, dedication, and fierce loyalty. At an early age, Eric learned the joys of keeping horses and cows around. He spent countless hours helping our dad work the ranch, hauling hay, feeding the animals, and mending fences. He loved our family unconditionally and was a devoted son, brother, uncle, and father. Eric was a family man who always strove to be the absolute best father and husband. He was an attentive and loving father to his 3 sons and a devoted husband to his wife of almost 9 years, Kouri, the defendant. Eric did absolutely everything in his power to provide his family and his 3 sons with every possible opportunity to learn, grow, and have fun. He was the coach or assistant coach on all his boys' teams, which included soccer, basketball, and baseball. He spent countless hours coaching and teaching the boys to play aggressive and give it their all. Eric truly cared about every single child he coached and wanted the absolute best for all of them. There was never a dull moment when you were around Eric, whether it was him showing up to a family dinner with no socks or the sleeves torn off of his shirt because he had to make an emergency bathroom stop along the way, or his calling to tell you he rolled the 4-wheeler for the upteenth time is stuck and he needs you to come get him. It was never boring. Eric loved to have fun and always wanted to make sure everyone else did as well. He owned almost every motorized toy possible, from 4-wheelers and side-by-sides to trucks and snowmobiles, and was so excited to share those with his sons. He had the perfect combination of business sense and foresight. He built a very successful masonry business from the ground up and helped many friends do the same. He had a special ability to build close relationships with everyone he worked with, which really allowed his business to thrive. Eric loved every aspect of his job, but most of all, he loved the people he worked for and those he worked with. Eric faithfully supported organizations that he truly believed in. He never was one that wanted recognition or accolades. He did most things anonymously and without recognition. Eric was a true champion of all people. It did not matter if you were an employee, friend, family, or the next random person walking down the street. If you needed anything, you could count on him. He truly cared about each person he met. Eric loved fully, laughed loudly, and lived life with reckless abandon. He enjoyed great adventures to far-off places, but also cherished the small and finer things in life. No obstacle was too great for Eric. He simply viewed each one as a challenge. No peak was too high, and the next adventure was always just around the next bend. Words cannot describe the loneliness and loss that is felt in every heart that was lucky enough to know him. Eric was such an inspiration and role model for us all. His loss has created a Grand Canyon-sized hole in this community. Except instead of taking millions of years to slowly form, our worlds change overnight. His 3 boys' entire worlds and their perspectives on life changed. None of our lives will ever be the same. Eric died under horrendous circumstances. I am tormented at the thought of what he endured. I play it out in my mind. I go through the terrible sequence of events. I wonder when he realized he was in mortal danger. I wonder what Kouri may have said to him in his last moments. How long was he conscious, knowing he would die? Where were Eric's boys when all of this happened? Did they hear Eric's body fall to the ground? Did they catch a glimpse of their father taking his last breath? It's torture to think of. Why did Eric lose his life? Why did the boys lose their father? Was it because of Kouri's greed and desire to get life insurance and other assets? If so, that is abhorrent. How could anyone value human life so cheaply? I cannot comprehend it. I'm overflowing with grief and pain at the thought that Eric meant so little to her. If Eric had died because of an illness, he would have been cared for. He could have looked after him and been with him. If he had died because of an accident, people would have tried to help. There would have been kindness. But there's no comfort to be had here. There's no consoling thought in the way Eric died. In his last moments, after being intentionally poisoned, he was faced with betrayal and terror. The thought of it is unbearable. I am haunted by the horror of it. This last year has been a living hell for our family. We have watched as Kouri has paraded around portraying herself as being widow and victim while trying to profit from the death of my brother.
There you go. Starting to get into the causes of action now. Trying to profit from the death of my brother. That's exactly what's in this civil lawsuit. These are exactly the allegations made, the factual allegations and claims made by Katie and the estate and the Richins family against Kouri.
Both by trying to profit from a book about his death and trying to get life insurance and assets that should go exactly where Eric wanted them to his boys.
And that's the point. For all intents and purposes, it seems like the Richins family is pretty well off. So it doesn't seem like Katie is, it doesn't seem like, right? I'm not saying we don't know anything, but it doesn't seem like she's trying to get it up for herself. But she is trying to secure everything for Eric's kids, where I got to be honest, money is not going to do the job. It may make certain things easier, but the hole that's left in their life, not having a father figure, not having their father anymore, who seemed like he was an amazing guy, an amazing dad, and also knowing what their mother did, or if this is what ends up getting proven and happening as part of these allegations, it's brutal. So now the family is doing what they can to try to set them up to at least financially, be in the best position as possible. And again, sometimes when you're looked at an impossible situation, you do the best that you can. And right now, the civil justice system in securing this is the best that they can.
Immediately after Eric was killed, Kouri told us she could not help us get anything ready for the funeral as she was too distraught with grief. We shortly found out that was not true at all. In fact, she pulled herself together enough to go close on the purchase of a $2 million home, hire a real estate agent, hire an architect to create CAD drawings of the home, hire a lawyer in order to file a lawsuit on Eric's trust, hire a locksmith to come break into and clean out my brother's safe, and attempt to have Eric cremated. She mustered up the strength and resolve to do most of this within 48 hours of his death. Kouri assaulted me. I will never forget the look in her eyes when she attacked me that Sunday morning. It was early and had been snowing most of the night.
By the way, a lot of allegations were just thrown out there, and those are things that are also going to be part of the civil lawsuit because they go to motive.
Just getting ready to leave and heading out to the car when I saw a locksmith in Eric's detached garage starting to drill out his gun safe. I asked Kouri multiple times why we could not just call my dad for the code. I could not understand why she was breaking into and ruining Eric's safe. To this, she screamed at me at the top of her lungs, called me some inappropriate things I cannot share with you here, and then told me to get out of her house. It was then that I told her that she could not kick me out of my brother's house. My sister Katie was now the executor of Eric's trust and estate, and just like Eric, she would not want the defendant breaking into his gun safe.
Okay, I thought this was Katie, so that's my bad. Different sister of Eric Richins, not Katie. Still speaking for the family, and speaking for her sister Katie, I guess. That's my bad. I thought this was Katie.
With pure hatred and rage. I was messing up her plan. I was getting in her way, and because of that, she attacked me. She punched me in the face and neck multiple times. It took 4 people to pull her off me that day. Before the funeral, Kouri opened a bank account and asked everyone that was grieving to send her money instead of sending the family cards and flowers. It was not even 2 weeks after Eric's passing that we were told she had taken down all but one photo of my brother and removed all his clothing from the house. Kouri put together a golf tournament in Eric's name 2 months after his death on what would have been his 40th birthday and told his family, all of us, that we were not allowed to attend. Since Eric's death, it has come to our attention that Kouri took out multiple life insurance policies on Eric without his knowledge. It appears that she forged his signature on various documents, assigned herself as Eric's durable power of attorney, inappropriately diverted money from his business to herself, and assigned herself as beneficiary of Eric's portion of our mother's
More claims you can find in the complaint.
Retirement account. I should also not forget to mention the multiple life insurances she has taken out on the boys. Her most recent business venture was authoring a children's book about how to help grieving children cope with the loss of the death of a parent. In this book, she had the audacity to use the boys' real names and even use their last family portrait. Her behavior gives me great concern, as she has exploited the boys for money and will likely do so again. In addition, Kouri has weaponized.
Again, more things that are in the civil lawsuit that the Richins family knows that if she were to get out, obviously, and this was part of the hearing about her having no bail, she will do again. And they have a pattern of how she did this, when she did this, why she did this. It got worse. It got more important to her. And there was basically no boundary she wasn't willing to cross to get the money, the fame, the profit, whatever it was that she was going for at that point. And again, all of the same things that are going to be important in this civil complaint are things that she is stating here, and allegations that they have made and facts that they believe.
Eric's children, manipulating my dad to do or not do things by threatening to cut him out of their lives if he did not capitulate to her demands. She similarly deprived the boys of contact with myself, my sister, and her daughters, unless we agreed to give her the money in Eric's trust, money that Eric wanted to go to his 3 children. As if that were not enough, I've been told that Kouri started telling their 3 little boys that none of Eric's family or friends loved them. She apparently told them none of us cared for them or wanted to be around them, even though that...
And even these are Kouri's actions that are causing harm based on the wrongful death. And I would argue you can connect all of this as damages as well, based on her actions to Eric's sons.
That is the exact opposite of what was happening. We all want nothing more than to be there for those 3 little boys, my nephews, Yet Kouri has made sure to cut us out of every aspect of their lives. This is all just a brief summary and the start of what our family has been through over the last year. We have scarcely gone a day without finding out some new allegations or evidence regarding something Kouri appears to have maliciously done to attack and undermine my brother, his 3 little boys, and our family. We have all been there since the beginning of Kouri's and Eric's relationship. I was there on one of their first dates. We were there at the wedding. We were there when each of the boys were born. We have been there for every birthday party, school graduation, and rodeo. We welcomed her into our family and treated her as one of us. Not only did she betray our brother, it feels as though she has murdered and taken away a part of our souls as well. Because of her actions, there has not been a day that has gone by we have not lived with paralyzing anxiety and fear, worrying for the boys' lives as well as our own. I may be naive, but I never knew evil like this existed. If Kouri was in fact willing to kill Eric for money, who's to say that what she will not do? Who would be next? Kouri was in a desperate financial situation when Eric was killed, and that situation seems even worse now. We understand that she has defaulted on loans and is already a defendant in other lawsuits based on her financial misdeeds. I am truly concerned that she will stop at nothing.
Which it may never end up being something they collect, right? Again, something we talked about in the Petito situation. It may not be about collecting the money, or it may be getting in line or taking over some of the real estate that she has. Who knows? Who knows? But they've filed this lawsuit. They've asked for big numbers. They've made big allegations and big claims, and it seems like they have a lot of evidence to back it up.
To dig her way out of the problems, including murder. She seems devoid of moral sensibility, and there is no telling what she will do if she is released. Judge Mrazek, her fate lies in your hands. Please do not allow Kouri to use the fraudulent life insurance proceeds to get out on bail. That would be morally reprehensible. Please do not allow Kouri to take advantage and make a mockery of our justice and legal system anymore. She has done enough. Please do not allow Kouri to hurt Eric's memory, our family, friends, and community anymore. We have been through enough. Please do not give Kouri the opportunity to hurt Eric's 3 boys anymore. They have lost enough and have been through enough. Since Eric's death, we have learned and unfortunately are continually reminded that Kouri is desperate, greedy, and extremely manipulative. If she gets out on bail, I will be afraid not only for my own life and those of all of my family, but most importantly for the lives of Eric's 3 sons. Our family has already suffered enough. Please do not let Kouri out on bail where she will be a risk to do further harm.
All right. And she was not let out on bail. But some really interesting comments from the family that mirror a lot of the factual allegations and claims in this wrongful death lawsuit. And I think that they are going to run it parallel. Sometimes you want to wait until the criminal case is over. It seems like that could take a while, and it does take a while in a lot of situations. And here, running it parallel could mean they want additional discovery. They want to see certain things. Maybe they're not always seeing eye to eye with the prosecutor's office, which is nothing that's, damning to the prosecutor or damning about the case, but it just is a reality sometimes. Sometimes the emotions and thoughts of the family can be something that don't always line up with the prosecutor. So let me know what you think about this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What you think they should do, whether or not you think this is a viable civil claim, if it seems like they have enough evidence for it from your perspective, because remember, that bar is a lot lower in civil court. So based on what we know, let me know where you're at and kind of what you're feeling about this wrongful death lawsuit. And if you're interested in this Kouri Richins situation and want me to continue to follow it, please hit that like button and share it with anybody else you know that may be interested in this content. But for now, I'm out of here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at Tragos Law is our handle. And don't forget to listen to the Lawyer You Know podcast featuring new episodes every week. If you have a case you want to talk to us about, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, the Lawyer You Know.